Absolutely necessary.
Hi, I'm Rachel Urquhart. I'm an artist and illustrator, and today I wanted to talk you through a little bit of my drawing process. My plan today was to draw some sort of fun, playful, little easy illustrations, things that are easy to do, and I'd love to invite you to draw along with me. So for materials, I'm using just a plain old sketchbook, colour pencils, and alcohol markers. As for the brands, it's really up to you what you want to choose. Copic do really good alcohol markers, so do Winsor & Newton and Iron Lac. The pencils that I'm using are Staedtler Aquarell watercolours. They're really soft, they break easily, but they do lay down a lot of colour, so I like that about them. So the first thing that I always do is lay down some composition shapes. It's really hard to see the lines that I'm putting down, I know. I'll do a close-up in a second. But these are just the basic general shapes that show you where things are going to sit on the page, so you're not just kind of flying blind when you put down some heavier lines. The next thing I do is fill in some large spaces with the alcohol markers. The thing that I like about alcohol markers is they give you that kind of translucent coverage. It's almost a watercolory effect, and you can do a lot of blending with the lighter and darker colours and sort of get different effects that way. So just adding a little bit of shadow with the alcohol markers just to give it a little bit of depth and interest, even though we're still keeping things pretty simple and stylised. And then I'm going to come in over the top with a little bit of colour pencil. This is adding a bit of texture and just a little bit of depth to the colour. And then what I'm doing with this dark blue pencil is actually adding the line work. So this is really the stuff that you can see. These are the bold lines, what ends up really bringing the picture together. So yeah, just a lot of scratchy, scribbly lines, not being too careful or worried about what this is all going to look like at the end. I'm not using any reference picture in this either, so there's not really a concern about accuracy. So once we've got the centres of the flowers worked out, got a little bit of texture going, then we move on to the petals. Just sort of working out the shape of them, and that's really relying on the line work that we put down with the pencil at the start. It sort of gives you a good guide and makes sure you don't end up with really long petals over here and really short petals over there, or anything that would look sort of unbalanced. So that's really the reason that I like to do that under sketch with the light pencil, is that you can make sure that things are going to be balanced and sort of end up where they're supposed to be. When you step back and take it in as a whole. Even on really simple drawings, the balance really makes a difference. And then just filling in the little stalks and kind of finishing that bit off. And also adding a little bit of shadow underneath, sort of where the back of the flower would be, and doing a little bit of a touch up with the alcohol marker, because as I went under with the alcohol marker, I wasn't really sure exactly how the shape would end up when I put the heavy lines in, so that was kind of filling in bits that I'd missed. And then adding some cute little details, some little sparkles and exclamations, stars, just things to add a little bit of interest and a little bit of magic. Because I'm all about adding magic to drawings. So I sort of worked the colour palette out before I started the drawing, which is always good, because if you do it on the fly, it can sometimes work out hideously wrong. Okay, so we just finished that off with a few little details, and then that's what we ended up with. You can see how that the dark Copic marker really came through and sort of made a difference around the inside of the petals. It's little things like that that kind of add a bit of depth and interest to a drawing. Okay, so now we're going to do some little mushrooms. I'm starting off with big shapes again, just drawing triangles and the little stalk things. Again, you can't really see too clearly what I'm doing, but there's a close-up of it where you can see the basic shapes that I've put in place. And then again, I'm going to start with my lightest Copic marker, and it's desperately in need of a refill. It's really running out of ink there, but I'm going to persevere because I don't live very close to the shops and I've got to work with what I got. So the first pass is just the light Copic marker, and then I'm bringing in that one again, same as like the inside of the petals of the daisy. It just adds a little bit of contrast and interest to the drawing. So that's just along the top of the little mushroom caps, and you can see a little bit more clearly now what's going where. So I'm erasing the pencil marks underneath because once you go over them with the Copic markers, you can't erase them anymore. They sort of get locked in. So I just wanted to get rid of those before I went over with the pink Copic marker. So there's a little look at where we're up to after I've put the Copic markers on. And then I'm just going along one side of the stalks with the pencil to add a little bit of depth, a little bit of texture, as if there's a light source coming from the right-hand side. When I'm drawing without reference, I find it best to just imagine a pretty simple light source. And then coming over with the blue pencil to do those outlines again, same as the daisies, using that dark blue pencil as the main outline. And I kind of found with this that I hadn't really planned the mushrooms properly. I wanted to show the little gills or the pages underneath. So I kind of drew them in on the fly. So they're not perfect, they're not great, but that's what that little sort of curving, almost S shape is along the bottom of the mushroom, is making way so that you can put those little gills in there. I think they add a little bit of interest to the mushrooms. And as I'm going, I'm also shading around that left edge again, a little bit, adding a little bit of darkness, shadow over there. And then just adding in some grass, a little bit of scribbling. So the next thing I'm trying to work out is which colour is going to work to draw. I think I was originally thinking to draw spots on the mushrooms, but then I wanted to draw stars instead. So here we go, I'm going over the top. The aquarels are like okay for going over the top of the alcohol markers, but I think Prismacolor pencils are actually the greatest for going over the top of colours. So I'm just adding these little stars kind of where you would put spots on a mushroom, because in my mind that is adding a little bit of magic and a little bit of something that is beyond the real. And then also adding in some little dots in between the stars. This is my favourite way to treat mushrooms, to make them little starry mushrooms. I think it's the cutest. And then adding just a little bit of yellow to the gills as well to make, I don't know if the gills pages, I don't know what they're called. To make them just look a little bit more interesting. Yeah, so once I've added all the stars in there and the blue outlines, I felt like it was really lacking a little bit of punch. The darker blue Copic hadn't really pulled forward enough, so I'm going back over it with a little bit of the dark blue pencil just to give it more contrast, more interest, and also so that adding of extra contrast really pulls the mushrooms apart. Then you can sort of see where the top of one starts and where the bottom of one finishes. And then I'm just kind of going back over and filling in some of the existing line work, just try and punch it up a little bit. And some little raindrops with that peachy pink pencil again. Another thing that I love thinking about with mushrooms is the rain underneath them when they act like an umbrella, but the opposite. I don't know why I think that's cute, but I do. And then doing a little bit of rainbow, because obviously the rain, it has been raining here for about 3 months straight, so it's pretty much all we can think about. So the other thing with these two drawings is I've kept to a really limited colour palette, which is something I like to do. I think it gives things a little bit of sophistication when you've put a cap on how many colours you use. So pink and blue on the daisies and pink, blue and yellow on the mushrooms. And then adding some little spangles and stars and sparkles. Just the usual little bit of magic to finish that all off. Some little exclamations. So adding in these little repetitive marks as well kind of make them sit together like a set, sort of a little bit more matching. And anyway, that's what we finished up with. I would love to see if you have a go at trying these drawings or something similar, or using any of these little tips and tricks in your own drawings. Please let me know. Feel free to tag me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, request other drawings or other videos. I'm still pretty new to YouTube and I'm trying to work it all out, but I'm having a lot of fun putting these videos together, so thank you.